Hello everyone, my name is Ryan Cam. Welcome back to the 1996 Project, where I'm covering and reviewing every movie that I can from the year 1996. We got one really good one and one mediocre one and one bad one. Like it's like no just okay ones. It's either just here or here. Like no in between whatsoever. But if you leave a like, comment, subscribe, I would greatly appreciate that. Without any further ado, let's dive in this week, starting off with honestly, might be one of the best military films that I've seen in a very long time. It's Courage Under Fire.
I'm gonna find out the truth, I guarantee you that.
It was directed by Edward Zwick, who would later go on to direct The Last Samurai and Love and Other Drugs, among other things. And it starred Denzel Washington, Meg Ryan, Matt Damon, and Lou Diamond Phillips. I almost called him Matt Phillips. What am I doing? It tells the story of a U.S. Army officer played by Denzel Washington who is kinda under the gun and under a lot of scrutiny due to a friendly fire accident. But while he's under investigation for that, he is asked to do an investigation of his own into a deceased helicopter pilot played by Meg Ryan, who is under consideration to win the Medal of Honor. However, some elements of her story don't really check out, and so it's up to this officer to find out where the truth ends and the lies begin. This movie is basically Edward Zwick's Rashomon, the classic Akira Kurosawa film. It's told in that style. It's basically Denzel Washington's character, Nat Serling, going around to several several of the characters that worked with this pilot and basically asking what was she really like, and you're getting different perspectives from them, and they're not all, let's just say, reliable narrators. There are some who are telling the truth, there are some who are hiding stuff, and there are some that are, unfortunately, due to no fault of their own, just unreliable. They just are. And that's what I really enjoyed about this, because I've complained with this project of the near endless conveyor belt of dramas that are just odorless and flavorless but star really famous people. And it definitely has a lot of the hallmarks of that here, but there's a really compelling story here. And it's Denzel Washington, so you're already got me on board with that. He's one of my favorite actors maybe ever, and he's great. You got Matt Damon in one of his earliest roles. Like he's only in this for like a few scenes, but he's great. You got Lou Diamond Phillips, who I swear does some of the best work that I've ever seen from him in this. I won't spoil it if you've never seen it, but basically you think he's one thing, but in reality he's a completely different thing entirely. And Meg Ryan, even though you only see her in flashbacks, she's really good too. And another thing that I just loved about this, besides the strong performances, is that I loved the battle sequences. There aren't a ton of these, but what you do see, again in flashbacks, really set the point home of the movie in that war is crazy. And when you're in the thick of it, you don't really have time to make like decisions with hindsight in mind. You have to think on your feet no matter what. And there is just, unfortunately, in certain cases, mistakes being made. And you have to just do it and then deal with the consequences later. And I thought all of that was just great stuff, like Serling trying to find out who's lying, who's telling the truth, while also dealing with his stuff and his baggage. Like you got this Washington Post reporter played by Scott Glenn on his tail. There's a lot going on, but most of it is really well done. The one plot element that I was not a fan of was the fact that Nat Serling is a bit of a drinker. I just felt like it was a bit, I don't want to say derivative because I mean the this movie came out first, but in my opinion, it was done a lot better in Flight, another Denzel Washington movie. Like there's even eerie quotes that are similar between this character and the character in Flight. Again, I'm not saying that they're the same movie. They're not, but I'm just saying that Denzel does similar things with each. That is my point. But it doesn't overall diminish my really love and respect for the movie. I'm going to give this a great rating. Can't give it full on amazing because of the drinking stuff that I just wasn't a fan of. But overall, this movie's really well done, mad underrated. Check this one out if you haven't. But now we go from the penthouse to the outhouse, and we meet a man who is known in certain circles as DJ Diesel, the Shaqaroni master himself. It's Shaq in Kazam.
What the hell is even that?
Kazam was directed by Paul Michael Glazer, who had previously directed the original Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger and the season 2 premiere of Miami Vice, and it stars Shaq and Francis Capra. It tells a story of a kid named Max, played by Francis Capra, who, while running from some bullies, knocks over a boombox that contains a genie named Kazam, played by Shaq. And I mean, do I really need to continue on? Because that's where the movie puts its focus on for the worse. Like, I remember watching this a few times when I was growing up because it was on Stars Kids, which is a pay channel, and you just couldn't, it was one of those ones that you just couldn't escape when I was growing up. I just saw it all the time in like bits and pieces. So rewatching it for this, I was like, do I remember liking this? Because if I didn't, then I need to question my taste a little bit, because this one's not good. And I am fully cognizant of the fact that in this movie, Shaquille O'Neal, like famous basketball man, is a genie. I'm not expecting cinema here, but when you have a premise like this, you would think, oh, this will be fun at least. And it's really not. Instead, what you end up getting is you get this stuff with Max who gets like into some petty crimes because like that's why he gets bullied because he was tasked to rob a store and he didn't, and so the bullies are after him because of that. I I don't know either. And then he ends up finding the genie, but then like Kazam like it's the whole Aladdin rule where like he can't compel the genie. It just there's a really serious like coming of age movie and a Shaq movie, and it just meets in the middle, and none of it really works. Like there's stuff with Max trying to find his biological father, and the biological father doesn't really want anything to do with him, kinda. And just there's a lot of stuff here. It's just it's all thrown into this gumbo, and it doesn't taste good. This is really just a vehicle for Shaq to be Shaq. He even raps in this because someone was asking for that. Like, I'm well aware that Shaquille O'Neal was very popular in this era. He would get even more popular and more successful in the years after this. But man, this was just a weird, very bad movie. This movie's horrid. Like just like even in the context of Shaq as a genie, don't expect too much, I was still disappointed by this. I just I was rewatching clips of this to prepare for this and writing notes and thinking to myself, I wonder if these basketball players like kind of talk to each other about the movies they do. And Dennis Rodman was like, "Huh, yeah, I'll never do something like that." Which, by the way, I need to call back my friend John Claude about this one movie project he's asking me to do. Now let's round things off this week by taking a look at a comedy that should have been funny, but it was not. This is Multiplicity.
Multiplicity. Hey, Rain Man, run back in there and floss yourself, buddy, all right?
How hilarious. How highly, highly humorous.
Multiplicity was directed by Harold Ramis. We all know who he was. In terms of directing, he directed Caddyshack, National Lampoon's Vacation, the first one, and Groundhog Day. And as a writer, he wrote the first two Ghostbusters movies. Like, he was just a very funny man. Let's all agree on that one. And it starred Michael Keaton and Andy McDowell. It tells the story of a man played by Michael Keaton who is super busy with his construction job. Like, he just can't spend any time at home, even though he really wants to. And so, he is approached by a scientist who has perfected the art of human cloning. And so, we get Michael Keatonception. I like Michael Keaton, I like Andy McDowell, and I like Harold Ramis. Those three ingredients alone should equal funny. But this one's really not. Just, it's one of those comedies that's just kind of there for me. It's not egregious. There were some moments where I chuckled like, that was pretty good. But the rest of the time, I just like I just did not care for this one. Like, first of all, it's about a stressed out parent, like an overworked mother or father. I'm like, wasn't this just everywhere in the 90s? Like it's still sort of around today, I guess, but it was like the heyday of it in the 90s, and I'm just like, can't they just have a normal, happy home life? Is that too much to ask? Is the best part of the movie, but he's not really given that much to do. Like, he's just either stressed out or just yelling at his clones with like no in between whatsoever. I think it would have been funnier if like the clones rebelled, like start out as like, all right, I'll do the work and you go and play golf. And it's like main Michael Keaton's playing golf, and one day they're like, you know what? We're not going to take it. No, we're not going to take it. We're not going to take it anymore. And you work and we'll play golf. Like something like that. And I guess that kind of happens, but it's just, it also doesn't really happen. And Andy McDowell again plays the stressed out housewife, and she's fine, but again, it's not really as funny as it could have been. This movie's pretty forgettable. I think I chuckled maybe once, and I think it was like one and a half times, and it involves Michael Keaton chewing out Eugene Levy because he was late for work. That's about it. But I passed off to all of you. What did you think of the movies I've covered this week? Let me know in the comments. Love to read what you have to say. Thankfully, we've got a few more really good ones next week because next week I'll be covering, among other things, A Time to Kill, which is a Joel Schumacher movie I have never seen. And I will be returning to one of the movies I covered for a video on this channel that really went somewhat like not viral, but like got a lot of views, and I was not expecting it to. And it's one of the ones that just still haunts me to this day. It's Train Spotting. My name is Ryan Cam, and I'll see you in the next one.